Hello, people. This is me, and this is my friend, my roommate slash crab partner in crime, Ishi. Ishi and I rarely make big plans because whenever we do, they somehow turn into a weird but beautiful disaster. So, in a way, this trip was exactly that. We went on a completely unplanned trip. We had no idea where we were going, who we would be traveling with. We ended up on this local, cheap, slightly broken bus, the kind of bus you can find on almost every street in Dhaka. Soon we realized that there were only 4 or 5 girls on the trip, and the bus was packed with local people who didn't seem very nice. That's when we realized that we might have made a mistake. But it was already midnight, and changing our mind was not really an option anymore. So we decided to stay alert and keep our eyes open throughout the journey. This was somewhere in the middle of the highway on our way there. Ironically, despite all of that, we both fell asleep, and when we woke up, we were greeted by one of the most beautiful views unimaginable. It was so peaceful that it almost made us forget all the stress and anxiety from the questionable decisions we had made the night before. So, this was the place. I honestly cannot remember the name of this particular village, but the road itself was breathtaking. It was surrounded by endless greenery, and everything felt calm, quiet, and peaceful. I had actually gone on this trip because I was going through a rough patch. I think I just needed to get away for a while. Sometimes life feels so heavy that you staying in the same place only makes your thoughts louder. And somehow being away from everything helped me feel a little lighter. So, yeah. So this was our breakfast, probably one of the worst breakfasts I have ever had, but I was absolutely starving, so I didn't have much of a choice. Then came to the real journey. We stayed on the machine run boat for almost 5 to 6 hours to reach the other side. It's called Tangwar Harbor. It's not exactly a river and not quite a lake either, but it's one of the most beautiful places I have ever visited in the country. Somewhere during this part of the journey, we both stopped resisting the situation. We accepted the choices that we had made, the circumstances around us, and the people traveling with us. And surprisingly, that's when we started enjoying ourselves. The moment we decided to go with the flow, everything became easier. It opened the door to so many, unexpected experiences. One of those experiences was getting off our main boat and switching to a manual boat. Until then, we had been traveling on a machine-powered boat, so this felt completely different and kind of stressful as well. The weather was incredibly hot, by the way. Ironically, we were lucky because it had been raining heavily earlier that day. By the time our journey began, the sky had cleared and it had turned into a bright, sunny morning. By then, we were actually having fun. The people around us were not particularly warm, but they were not bothering us either. Everyone was minding their own business, and so were we. This was the manual boat, and um, this this place was really beautiful with lots of water and greenery. And these were the only 5 girls among nearly 50 boys on the entire trip. At one point, I went downstairs of the boat, and this was the view. The mountains that you see in the distance are actually on the Indian side of the border. Once we got off the boat, we had to take motorcycles to reach the destinations we wanted to explore. So the road was beautiful, and the roads are far more beautiful than the destinations themselves, honestly. They were incredibly soothing, refreshing, and filled with stunning, mesmerizing views. I love the combination of water and mountain. I'm a mountain person, if you ask me. So I'm usually someone who prefers staying at home or doing cozy stuff or going on comfortable trips. that do not involve much hassle, but this trip was complete opposite. I had never ridden a motorcycle through mountains on rough, uneven roads before. Everything felt unfamiliar and slightly intimidating. But this view made every bit of it worthwhile. If I'm not mistaken, this place is Bariktila. I guess so. The scenery was so beautiful that it made every challenge along the way feel insignificant. We stayed there for a few minutes, but the sun was extremely harsh and my migraine was getting triggered. So we decided to head back down and continue toward the next destination. So the view I will always keep remember in my mind. It was so beautiful. We were trekking a bit, and this was our second destination. The mountains you see in the background are once again part of India. It was not actually anything extravagant. It was still incredibly beautiful. The water was crystal clear, cool, and refreshing. A funny part is my friends were happily drinking the water straight from there, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Anyway, after that, my friends just decided to trek up another mountain, and I chose not to join them. So I stayed back and waited for them. So this was where I was waiting for them, and they went up in the hill. Soon it was time to return the other side of the hour where we had started our journey earlier that day, so that we could catch our bus back. Tangwar Haur was honestly one of the most peaceful impromptu experiences that I have ever had. There was water all around us, mountains in the distance all around us, and a cool breeze that made everything feel calm. It was so quiet that for a moment all the noise in my head disappeared. Places like this remind you how beautiful and simple life can be. On our way back, we witnessed one of the most beautiful sunsets, and we fell asleep for a while and woke up to beautiful full moon. And just like that, the trip came to an end. We got back on the bus and eventually returned to the same old regular life in Dhaka.